I am fascinated by how people respond to when I talk about accountability. It's poking, and so people don't want it, yet it's everything. It will do so much for people. It's life-changing, and right now the world is going the other way. It's telling you what every single thing is bad, and everything, social media, traditional media, politics, society is pushing everyone to see the thing they should blame for their unhappiness, and the second you go to accountability, all your happiness starts to build.
But it gets a little bit lonely sometimes.
Of course.
You know, shut everybody out.
Yeah, but the problem is I'd rather be lonely with myself and accountability than to have people around me that are pushing non-accountability. Having circles of energy that are pushing non-accountability, all those friends, the media, your feed, your friends who are pushing blame and envy and jealousy, I'd rather be by myself and accountability.
Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Carmichael, and I make these videos because in my first business, I struggled to stay afloat. I quit on my business partner, and the thing that kept me motivated, that kept me going, was studying the stories of famous, successful entrepreneurs. And in their stories, it gave me the hope, the drive, the ambition, the thinking that maybe I can do it too, that extra bit of belief. And I still need their stories today, and I'm honored to share them with you here as well. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Gary Vaynerchuk, and my take on his top 10 rules of success. Enjoy. Rule number 2 is make your brand matter.
People have just not made the commitment to realizing brand is actually built in social. Social by nature allows you to create more creative. When you're able to create more creative, you're able to focus on relevance, not just awareness. I believe every Fortune 500 brand does not have an awareness issue. That's why they're a Fortune 500 brand. They have a relevance issue. How do you make Nike matter to every single person? How do you make Apple, BMW, Prada? How do you make it actually matter? The way you make it matter is by storytelling. The way you make it matter is that story has to hit you. Me, you, Dustin, Menno. We have different things that are gonna make us interested.
Yep.
Social is conducive to that kind of output. Plus, we now live in a world where the algorithms are rewarding content that is interesting to people. That by nature creates consumer insights. Consumer insights are the starting point to do great work, right? If you know something about what people are already interested in, you have a better chance of making something that they're interested in, thus rendering them to do the thing you want them to do. And in the context of this, it means to buy something. So, you know, I think the brands in the Middle East and the world need to make a bigger commitment to output, more volume, more platform strategy, more creative strategy, more cultural strategy. We call it PAC, platforms and culture. And I think the faster they do that, the more likely they'll gain market share. And I think every brand has to go through that journey.
Rule number 3 is utilize social media.
World. Let me explain to you, for everyone who's like, these platforms make all the money and they're using me and I'm getting used. Let's just talk about it. Dustin, do you know if it does cost or does not cost money to put an ad in a newspaper? Do you think you can call a newspaper and say, hey, I'd like you to put a full page ad and here's what I'd like you to put and I'd prefer you charge me nothing?
That is not
possible. Right. Do you think I can call CNN right now and say, hey CNN, hey Fox, hey CBS, hey ABC, I would like to run a video in between your hit shows, a commercial, and I would like to pay you nothing for that?
highly
Okay, that billboard outside right behind you, do you think I can call that number and say, hey, I'd like to put up the vinyl that goes there to say, follow VFriends on social media and please charge me nothing?
Absolutely not.
Do you believe I can call Howard Stern's show on Sirius and say, hey, Howard, listen, you know how you read these things in between the show? And you're like, go to vfriends.com. Do you think Howard would do that for free?
Hell no.
Cool. Now, these social networks say, hey, we're open, create an account, post something, and something can happen. And it costs $0 from us. This whole concept that these social networks have the man has used social networks for their benefit. I've built a humongous audience on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, and I haven't paid those companies a single penny. And when I sell empathy and schmempathy and all this, like that, where does that come from? This is a ludicrous conversation. I can't wait for decentralized social networks where you have to build your own audience.
Where you're not maybe, I guess, not relying on an algorithm to...
You post and people are there. You're getting access to people. People love to cry about things that they take for granted. When I was older, I was like, wait a minute, what? Email? I could just send email and not be charged? Twitter? Wait, so let me get this right. This is why I freaked out about Twitter. Back to buying stuff. So I get to post, people follow me, and they can share so I get word of mouth and distribution, and the platform's not charging me? And by the way, here it comes. Twitter's about to charge for and you know what everyone's gonna do? This bullshit. Why do we charge? Because you don't want ads. You don't want them to monetize. My data is being monetized is By the way, on the record, I'd be really sad if that went away. I like that most of the ads that I see have something of interest for me. I don't like the ads on television. I don't need diapers or tampons when I'm watching this. I don't need it. I don't need your beer. I'm not gonna drink your beer. I don't need that ad. I like New York Jets ads. It's a better experience when I'm targeted. The whole thing pisses me off. It really does. Not because I love social networks. I don't give a about it. I could give a about social networks. I just don't like when people talk without a complete conversation. It's free. Instagram is free for you. So they monetize by advertisers coming to you. That's like television. You know who else monetizes your data? Television. You know who else monetizes your data? Newspapers. You're reading the Wall Street Journal, you turn the page, you don't want to see that full page ad of some financial service, but they know that if you're reading the Wall Street Journal, you might want financial services. I don't know. People are very interesting to me. Because they're making money. They're making money. Or they're getting entertainment.
Yeah. No,
TikTok does not charge you for all that entertainment. Every kid on earth gets unlimited entertainment on TikTok for free. Meanwhile, they have to pay $20 a month or whatever Netflix. How much is Netflix now?
15.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know.
I don't get it. It's entertainment for free. It's building audience for free. How do you think this works? I can't wait for decentralization when it's based on merit and not the algo and the audience is there. We'll see how much people reminisce about this time and what they complained about.
Rule number 4 is lean into curiosity.
What are the things that are needed to be successful in life? There's a lot of things that come to mind. A lot of what I think about is self-esteem and genuinely being in a good place with yourself, because you won't put yourself out there at the level you need to if you're insecure. And so I think a lot about self-esteem and self-love and a lot of other stuff. But the word that I want to talk about is the word curiosity. I think everybody here can probably sense that this Web 3.0, last year we defined Web 3.0 as crypto and NFTs. But I challenge that concept and I say, let's take a step back and realize Web 3.0 probably encompasses a lot more things. For me personally, it encompasses AR. For me personally, it even encompasses something that's been around for a long time, like QR codes, because I think it's a new functionality in pipes that matters for everyone here. It definitely involves VR, and we know that. And it clearly involves AI, which is going to be such a big deal. We, me included, we're very stuck in what we're doing right now. Meanwhile, this is probably the biggest era of change coming up since the invention of the iPhone accelerated social media in a profound way. I have a feeling that a lot of people here, you're not sure exactly every aspect, none of us are, but I have a feeling everybody can feel here that the next 20 years, shit's gonna look a little bit different. That between AI and AR and VR and decentralized servers, it just feels like it's not the status quo that the last 15 years are. In that will be some of the biggest opportunities that you will ever see in your entire life. in 1997 and 1998, every internet company that went public was worth $1 billion with zero revenue. All of those stocks collapsed, but it didn't mean that the internet was not going to be one of the biggest inventions of our time. That's just blockchain. That's not even mentioning what's going on in AI. And in the last year, everybody here has been affected and blown away by Jasper or Midjourney or ChatGPT. All of us have tasted real AI, not fake AI like we were for the last 7 years. And it really caught everyone's attention. These things are going to converge together at scale. And so I ask all of you, please do not leave this conference without asking yourself, how curious are you? You know how many of you here have opinions about AI, yet you've never spent 50 hours really using it? You know how many people here have opinions about everything that's going on in new technology, yet it's because your friend told you or you read 2 articles? You didn't have the curiosity to go all in. You lead with no, sometimes you lead with yes, but very few lead with maybe. If you lead with anything from this talk, given how young this audience is, if you can fall in love with the concept of maybe, when faced with somebody telling you something you've never heard about before, or something new in your journey, which will be consistent for the rest of our lives with technology, if you meet that new genre, that new platform, that new technology with the concept of maybe, you will have a much greater chance to get out of the world what you want. And so I argue at scale that one of the biggest things to lean into within your own body going into the next decade is finding out for yourself, with yourself, where do you sit with curiosity? Are you a curious person or are you not? And how do you develop more curiosity? For me, the way I built more curiosity was I started surrounding myself with people that were more curious. And so I challenge you to really think about this because it will really matter.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there.
Rule number 5 is find your why.
You've been a positive light in social media. Help those people who are out there going, hey, what's my social persona?
I think that you have to ask the simple question of why are you doing it? Most of the social that's out there isn't working because it's selfish. You want the likes, you want the money, you want to sell the thing. And we don't want that. You need to put out things that provide value, and they can come in a lot of shapes and sizes. I'll tell you who I'm really fascinated by. The people who are posting on a daily basis, who have very tiny audiences and enjoy it to no end. They enjoy it because they just want to share videos of them playing video games or cooking or things of that nature. This becomes a very simple game of why are you doing this? You do it because you love the thing that you're putting out there and it's part of the process. You're gonna win. The problem is too many people want certain things and they want it fast.
Rule number 6 is take a day off.
If you were able to go back to 20-year-old Gary, what are you telling him? One piece of advice with his entrepreneurial
And this is going to be a tough one because I was so extreme in this direction, so this may not help you, but it might in the direct, but it might help you in the macro. It's okay to take a Saturday off. I was 110% work.
Okay.
And I do believe that balance is best. And in hindsight, a few vacation days, a few Saturdays, a few ball games, just like doing besides working.
Being 20 again.
Being 20.
Yeah.
Some 20-year-olds, it's like, hey, you need to start building your discipline and work ethic. Other 20-year-olds, it's like, hey, don't put too much pressure on yourself. Yeah.
Number one. Number
Yeah,
one.
so like, look, it's all great to like take advantage of your youth. A lot of kids that are overly soft and overly like not starting to do things that are inconvenient wake up at 30 and are struggling too. So like the best thing I can tell a 20-year-old who's a little too chill, if you actually believe even for you are, find something to be disciplined about. That might be the gym, that might be school. Just one thing to get you into being tolerant of inconvenience. Too many people just want everything to be easy. And the ultimate comfort is not finding ways to be comfortable. The ultimate comfort is to know that you are comfortable in any adversity.
Rule number 7 is learn about NFTs.
What do you see as the next big industry that's going to be not maybe fully disrupted, but Web3 is going to start to enter? Like, you know, with music right now, I'd say it's very, very early. But do you think that'll be the next one to continue growing, or will it be gaming, or?
I think really any consumable is in play, like fashion, gaming, sports, entertainment. I think all of those are going to be, you know, impacted. You know, I think a lot of B2B stuff, the boring, legal, law firms, you know, like just like documentation, like where did things sit? I do think the entertainment business, like, why couldn't a streaming service come along that's built on NFT infrastructure instead of like, you know what I mean? Like why couldn't that be the subscriptions contracts? You know, I think a lot about. So that's what I see right now.
You know, you mentioned like in terms of fashion. So if we look at fashion, where they're selling a physical product, you know, I've been of the belief, it's very early, but I've been of the belief that, you know, the physical products are a lot, if not all of them, are going to have like an associated NFT.
They will, and then the question becomes, is that physical product held up in an exchange in a warehouse and you don't take ownership of it like StockX, and you're just trading the NFT that represents it? And then when I actually want to get that $8 million painting into my apartment, I have to burn the NFT to get the actual physical? Or is it just a nice receipt where you can separate because once you give it to the person, if you give them the physical and the NFT, well, they're detached. Because I can just sell off the NFT or I can just sell off the physical, and there's no technology I can keep track. Whereas if I sell you a $15,000 handbag and I give you the NFT and the handbag sits in a Mercantile Exchange-like environment, then I can actually trade the NFT, and then if you actually want the bag, you can burn the NFT in redemption of. Yeah,
because what I'm getting at is, you know, especially with luxury goods, but the secondary market with fakes and that sort of thing, right? I really seen NFTs as a way to help combat that, but it's so difficult now because one's a technology, one's a physical product. So
correct, and once you take ownership of it, you can't, you know, it's not going to prove provenance unless it's sitting. But that's important. There's a lot of people that buy something very valuable to have. They want to know it's real. If they buy it in NFT form to burn, to take physical accountability of it, then you're good. That's huge. That's huge.
At least for that first secondary sale.
For that first secondary sale, you got it. Or the 9th, if nobody ever burns it. There could be 99 second. I mean, you know how much art's just sitting in docks around the world for tax havens? Or do you know how much wine's sitting in wine cellars? Do you know how many sports cards are sitting in safety deposit boxes? You know, like a lot of people don't need the actual physical thing. My public stock is not sitting in my hands.
Right.
The knowledge of. And then over time, the NFT becomes the thing. Owning the NFT is owning the Birkin bag at scale. Birkin bag, I can only, you know, rare pair of sneakers, only so many people can see me wearing them. But once this scales to like social media like levels, like people are gonna be like, what NFTs does that person have?
Rule number 8 is make compromises.
I'll have to make some compromises, right? And my mind is not mentally allowing me to agree that I'm making these compromises professionally in my 30s. I feel like that's fundamentally wrong.
I think that that's where you have to hack. I would actually argue some of my least productive years of my career were in my 30s. Ironically, 30 was when I triggered in. If I said right now, as an athlete, what were your worst seasons? I would say 28, 29. For the only time in my career, I had I'm even scared to say it out loud, micro complacency. But Wine Library did it. So from 22 to 28, I didn't breathe. But at 28, it happened. Like it was it. It was undeniable that Wine Library was one of the most successful independent wine retailers in the country. And I kind of got into a groove. I built a good team. I didn't want to build a second store. You know, I just had micro complacency. And then at 30, I started Wine Library TV 3 months after 30, and that changed the next 17 years of my career. I would say I had that complacency and nothing happened. And I would argue that in 12 years I'll be doing this and I'll explain how I had complacency the year after COVID. Or who the heck knows?
Did you realize that complacency in the time, or did you know you were being complacent, or was it an after effect?
It was in hindsight. And the reality is there's no reason to beat yourself up. There's no reason to hold yourself to a standard that doesn't come natural. There's no reason to create an ideology of you being a superhero when you're just a human being. And I think your framework is right. You could build the biggest augmented reality company in the world. If your parents pass away and during that era and you say, wait a minute, why didn't I go to dinner with them once every 2 weeks, or nothing matters. So you've got it. You've got it.
Rule number 9 is practice gratitude.
I had an interaction with a guy around gratitude, and it was just like very interesting. I was just like, yeah, once you go there, you really actually don't need anything else. The simplicity of the gratitude framework, like if you're just actually grateful for what you have, actually, for the littlest things, versus envious for the that you don't have, everything's just better. Every single problem you have gets better. Even the most extreme things, like, are you grateful for the time you had with somebody you loved? You know, that kind of gratitude wins.
I feel like there's like a stepping stone or something that, or a pivotal moment that you realized?
No, I think it was just I listened to positive people around me. I just limited envy and jealousy, and I leaned into optimism and gratitude, and I've been practicing it for 40 years, and here I am. Humans are byproducts of the information and the energy they decide to consume. This is why I get so crazy about like people who want to like stay in unhappiness. If you're deeply unhappy, instead of blaming everyone else for it, put in the work to get out of it. Because you can. I believe in people. I believe in you. Like you can do it. One can create their luck by acknowledging right in this minute as you watch this video or listen to it on podcast that you're like, it. Everyone has a moment. That lady just now earlier.
Just before like I quit my job to start my own agency, I saw you 4 months before. And you were like, just do all the content. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do all that content. Thank you.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you so much.
Congrats.
Got it.
I was there, like I just heard you say it, do it, and I was like, it was that was my time. And we're all affected by that. I'm just one human. There's lots of people doing different versions of this. If you want to find positivity, it's everywhere. There's just way too much momentum right now of people looking for negativity. What they're doing is they're avoiding accountability. It gets really cozy to blame perfection for not doing shit. Oh, you don't get it, Julian, I'm a perfectionist. That's why I can't put out this video. I'm a perfectionist. No, you're not. You're cute with your words and you're using it as an excuse to not do because you fear failure. You're not a perfectionist. You're an avoider. People just decided that everyone else's life is perfect. Like you have no idea what's going on in someone's head or their 4 walls behind their door. It's just not true. All that energy to judge others for their perfection or what they did wrong, it's all outward. What about putting it on yourself?
And rule number 10, the last one before some very special bonus clips, is strive to be happy.
If you want to be upset about the world, good news. Turn on the television, open your phone and go on social media and you will be upset 24/7. On the flip side, if you want to be happy and optimistic, good news. Turn on the television and take out your phone and you could be really optimistic and happy. You're deciding what you're looking at, not the algorithm. TikTok and Facebook isn't you up, you're you up. And so I'm very passionate about that. Some people are more naturally gifted. Some people in this room were born with a chest. It's just the way it is. But can every person make strides in a direction of being better at anything? The answer is yes. I think it's cool to get better at basketball. I think it's cool to get better at singing. I think it's cool to get better at skiing. I think it's cool to get better at cooking. but all of that is dog compared to getting better at being optimistic and happy versus pessimistic and sad. And so watching people like Dustin, watching basically every person I've been around since I was 6 years old, if they spend enough time with me or people that look like me, watching my own father be wildly affected by his 14, 16, 18, 20-year-old son and move from deep pessimism to a neutral or 80% better has been one of the great joys of my life. And so what I used to do for people around me, and now I do at scale, it's very enjoyable. It's the best feeling on earth. Nothing feels better than making someone's life better. There's a million ways to do it, but I believe changing someone's perspective, because it is completely moldable. A perspective is completely moldable. Changing someone's perspective to realizing, and it's funny, I can't believe Dustin went there, and he knows this, maybe subconsciously he went there. He knows, because he films me a lot like D-Rock used to. People say to me all the time, Gary, you don't get it, I just keep it real. I'm like, real negative? You don't keep it real. What's real? You decide it's broken, I decide it's good. Who's keeping it real? Keeping it real is bullshit. There's no realism, there is no real. Life is how you see it. It's too complex. The audacity of a human thinking they've got it mapped. On the record, I do not believe I am right about anything. I believe it's just how I see it. I know one thing, I'm 47 and have dealt with a ton of shit in my life, and when I think about my percentage of happiness and lack of anxiety compared to the enormous amount of human beings I've gotten to know in my lifetime, I will take mine every day of the week, and I'm very affected by that, especially when I have real life examples in front of my face like Dustin and the thousands of other people that I've interacted with in my life deeply, and the tens of thousands that I've interacted with, if not hundreds of thousands virtually. This is simple. It's black and white. We must fight for happiness.
What strategies would you implement for small businesses in this down market?
The answer I just gave earlier. Like literally a headline I was thinking about green screening yesterday was about how a TikToker did one review of a restaurant and the restaurant was on the verge of bankruptcy and now it's quadrupled in sales. You know, I kind of put the alpha in something yesterday or the day before. I'm writing jab, 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 left hook, right? And it's because jab, 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 right hook still gets emails every day from small businesses and entrepreneurs that it's helping them. And I wrote it 7, 8 years ago. The strategies are not as good as what I can tell you now about doing a green screen and why, or LinkedIn that. So small businesses need to create demand. Demand comes from marketing. Organic reach and social is the best way a small business can do marketing, because you're able to get awareness and not have to pay for it. You can't put a full page ad in a newspaper and not pay for it. You can't run a commercial on TV and not pay for it. You can't buy an outdoor billboard and not pay for it. You can't run an audio ad on a radio station or a podcast and not pay for it. Everybody on the algorithms and these platforms. You can open an account on Instagram, TikTok, or LinkedIn right now, post something, pay nothing for the distribution, and change your life. I really do feel a tremendous sense of responsibility. I genuinely sit here this morning looking at all of you, and my chemicals and my emotions are, I work for them. What I just want to say is thank you, because I think we've all worked extremely hard this year. I genuinely believe that. Hard is something we'll always do, because I just know the makeup of this team. There's a lot of people that roll that way here. We've benefited from this, and I know a lot of you have felt this, and I've heard this from a lot of you, especially for the OGs here, more so than in a long time. I think we had a very clear focus. The way I look at everybody here is the way I look at leadership in general, parenting, being a president. We have no room in any shape or form, in any situation, to not treat each other or anybody that we interact with anything other than super glee, joyful, deep love, optimism, rainbows, and unicorns. Here's why. Because that's what I do for you. This is very important to me. We are at our worst when the delta between how I treat you is different than how you treat anybody you interact with. Since I don't manage you with fear or negativity, why on earth would we? And by the way, almost makes me want to cry. The amount of issues we have on this issue here is quite low. When I say this, please let everyone know that it's almost non-existent. I want it to be zero. Once you fall in love with humility, you have a chance of being happy.
Yeah.
And so, humility is not at the expense of confidence and ambition. I'm all sorts of confident and ambitious. I also have the humility to realize I'm not special. I also have the humility and the self-confidence to not need outside affirmation. And so, when I hear you start this conversation in the context of mortgage professionals who made a ton of money and right now aren't, I struggle with the heavy negativity being a financial situation.
Yeah.
Because if you crushed the last 2 years, you seemingly have the opportunity to eat a lot of humble pie and reset, including, well, Gary, I didn't buy a house.
Yeah.
And so I can't down trade. I bought a lot of stuff. Well,
absolutely.
Sell your stuff. Like, if you bought an $8,000 handbag, that in hindsight you wish you had $8,000, sell it for $6,700 on eBay.
Yep.
People want their cake and eat it too. And that's why they have issues. I say lean into, accountability and address the situation.
What are your thoughts on the economy right now and how an ambitious business owner should navigate that, especially a contractor?
Yeah, I'm not an economist, so I'm coming from a complete guess. What do I feel? I feel that there's just a lot of instability in the world, right? There's war in Europe. There's a huge shift in the way the world communicates between social and traditional media. There's clearly a East versus West scenario between China and America that continues to get more strategic, if not contentious. You've got alliances, BRICS, right? Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa is a real economic alliance now that is something that the US and Europe can't ignore. That leads to different actions, different instabilities. I think that there is incredible lack of people saving money. The coolness of saving money of the 50s and 60s has become not cool. People live on credit. People buy things they can't afford. So that's always scary. I would say an ambitious small business should make sure that they have a just-in-case fund. So don't overextend yourself. Be sitting on cash to the best of your ability. A little nest egg. But don't be frozen by fear. Be on the offense if you're good. If you're good, you'll pick up business during tough times because your competitors will lose their business to you.
Having the most opportunity to take on risks and try new things, but sometimes you do the calculations in your head. And even though the risk of failure is so low for us right now, there's still fear of taking that step, a voice telling you not to. What are different ways that we can conquer that fear?
When I started public speaking and losing out on speaking gigs left and right because I cursed, I knew that I was going to double down on what got me there, which was I'm not going to overvalue other people's opinions. I'm going to value my opinion about myself. The little voice in your head is called the Insecurity Devil. The Insecurity Devil on your shoulder is saying to you, don't do this because when you fail, the girl you like, your brother, your mom, your teacher, someone's gonna think you suck and you believe them. And that's the problem. If people really got into a place of just doing things that they want to do and not worrying about what people thought about it, everybody would take risks in their 20s. You, by nature of being in this program, are already taking risks that are different than your contemporaries, so you're already halfway home. But this is still school, even though it's different. And the real world of jobs and companies and starting your stuff, that's the real jungle. This is just cool right now, what you're doing. But the real jungle is scary because there is no system. It's not subjective. Teacher Adam can't just say you're good. The world tells you the truth. And people are scared of the world. It's why we have professional students. And so, I think the reason people are scared of the world is they actually think getting fired or having their startup fail or them not being able to be an influencer because nobody gave a is a bad thing, when I think it's a great thing. This all comes down to confidence and insecurity. The reason you won't do something is you are too insecure to do it.
You always win. You know that.
I definitely don't always win.
So let's talk about that.
But I'm always playing to win. I want to win. I want my companies to be the biggest. I want to win. It's my game. What are we doing here? It's a game. I want to win. I don't think that's a bad thing. I'm fiercely competitive. However, I do think that for me at least, I don't think my winning comes out of anybody else's pocket. So for me, it's I want to win, but I want everybody else to win too. In the agency land, when we pitch a new piece of business, if another agency wins, all right, we lost. We didn't tell the client what they wanted to hear. They went somewhere else. It's not like I hate Johnny or Ricky, I get pumped watching all these projects do well. I don't think VFriends not being the #1 valued project is bad. I think when all the dust settles in 22 years, you're gonna forget about a lot of names that we with today, and I'm gonna be dominating. But if I don't, I'm gonna be pumped for World of Women or Bored Ape or whoever. I'm surprised that people don't know how to balance trying to be successful and enjoying their process and loving their game and being competitive with also being okay for rooting for everyone else, including people that are direct competitors. I just think the world is abundant and I'm gonna get mine. Nobody's stopping me from getting mine, which is why I cheer for everybody else to get theirs. I gave you a sense of how I grew up. I'm the least interested person in entitlement. I believe entitlement leads to anxiety and depression. I think entitlement is poison. However, there are way too many business owners in this room that deploy very quick entitlement on their employees based on age discrimination without factoring in the opportunities that 24-year-olds have to make money today. Just because you worked for $9 an hour at Safeway doesn't mean they should when they know how to make $30,000 a year making TikToks. I understand what you would like the kids to do for your business, but that is not the reality of the world. Until business owners wake up to the options that the internet has created and start really thinking about how they manage, not to be soft and fluffy. I hated Gen Zer as much as everybody else, but I also hate boomers because I know 40,000 boomers that are lazy as This is not a generational thing. This is a human by human thing. The difference is when I was growing up in the game, if I had the options to make money that the internet now provides for me when I was 11 years old, graduating college, I wouldn't have graduated middle school. We can't fight reality. There's way too many people in this space, because I watch it a little bit. I can't speak to anybody here individually other than I saw some of the people hashtag this event and I looked at their accounts and paid attention to how much they're posting, and you really aren't posting. We can't fight reality. We can't fight the reality of where our customer's attention is. I understand that you've done direct mail and you're comfortable with it and you don't know how to run Facebook ads. It doesn't change the fact that Facebook ads perfectly destroy direct mail perfectly every day of the week. I understand you're comfortable with it, but it doesn't mean it's the truth. I understand you worked hard and grinded and you expect everybody to do that, but your whole I walked 10 miles and 13 inches of snow doesn't mean anything. We have to reverse engineer the reality of the market. That doesn't mean be soft. We have businesses to run. As a matter of fact, I'll go the other way. The amount of people that have labor in their stores every day and there's nothing going on should be required. I mean, if I could control every business here, I would have every person in our stores that has downtime producing TikToks and Instagram and YouTube instead of standing there waiting for somebody to come in. That's a for instance, right? This doesn't have to be hard. This has to be a reframe of thinking. When you hear 15 a day, it gets real scary. When you know that you have unlimited employees just hanging around waiting for people to come into the store, all of a sudden, you get real excited about, we could do 40 a day if I get Carl and Sally to do some shit. And all of a sudden, you're not pissed that they're on the phone DMing trying to hook up tonight. You're pumped that they're on the phone making some content to drive your business. 2023 is not 2015. It's not 2009. It's definitely not 2000. And looking around, it's definitely not 1994. We have to adapt mentally.
Where are you finding the most meaning in your pursuits?
Oh, disproportionately in the Gary Vee of it all. Like, the Gary Vee content thing, like looking at these young faces and knowing that some of them think I'm cool, thus giving me leverage and equity for them to listen to me so that I can tell them that kindness and patience and humility and being a sweet person is actually the winning formula is massive. You know, when I get the feedback from people that you changed my life because I realized I didn't have to be a face, and I'm not a face, Gary. I'm not a face, but I thought you had to be a face to win the game, right? Like, to me, that is profound. And, you know, I think for the people here who like skew towards being a guidance counselor or like a camp counselor or like a head coach or, you know, this will make sense to them because I have this in me. When you get your joy from other people getting joy from your actions, there's no better joy. It's just that what's I think a little bit unique about me, if I'm like analyzing myself as if I'm not myself, is that has come in like spiritual leaders, that's come in like parenting, that's come in guidance counselors and principals, and it just, we haven't heard that from like gangster ass business people. You know, like, I think that's what's probably, you know, as I analyze it, I'm like, why the f is this happening? I'm like, you know, that's right. Like, I can't think of somebody who like is crushing out here in that way. That's also spewing grandma shit.
The first time we met, you mentioned that we are the future of the company. And I'm in this residency program, I've been having that as a mindset. Going into the next 5 years, what is the best mindset and the learning path that I can take to become the future of this company? And I'm not saying become where you are. I'm just saying like to grow in this company and to be a big part of it.
It's a great question. I think a couple things. One is self-awareness. You know, let me give you an example of what I mean by that. There are plenty of times, and I'm as happy as it gets professionally, and there are still plenty of times that I say, I wonder how cool it would have been to have the DNA that would have made me like, I'm envious of a lot of my senior employees. I'm like, you know, like yesterday, like being sick, it was not only bad to have 103 fever, it was even worse knowing that I was missing things that were really important. And like, I can't like rely on anybody else to do that role. So I think first of all, self-awareness. When you have ambition, you know, even you asking that question, my fear is that you push yourself into places on an ideology versus the reality of who you actually are. So I think the best way people can be the future of this company is, one, they have a good sense of themselves. Two, they have a good sense of what they want in life, financially, creatively, work-life balance. Three, this is a big one. I want everybody to pay attention to this one. Three, that they have the capacity to change their mind 5 years from now. So some of you right now might be like, I actually do want Gary's job. I want to be the global CEO of VaynerX in 20 years. And I think that's rad. On the flip side, you may fall deeply, deeply in love in 7 years and then start a family and be like, that, you know, I want to be like my mom or dad, or I want to be the reverse of my mom and dad. And I want to be at every recital and every ball game. And that's not going to let you be the global CEO of VaynerX. That's just real talk. So I think that if you have a good sense of who you are, if you're comfortable in who you are, and if you're willing to change your mind of what you want, that's a huge starting point. I talk a lot about why people aren't capable of producing content to the world, which is now the requirement as a human to achieve happiness. I genuinely believe that. I believe taking advantage of all of our abilities to reach out to the world through these new channels with no friction is an enormous gift and opportunity. The reason most can't achieve it is because they're unable to take back the inevitable feedback that immediately comes with the opportunity. To your point, I genuinely believe the reason I can take the feedback is because when I go into my Instagram post that I just posted, literally in back-to-back comments, one will say that I'm walking on water and the next will say that I'm a snake oil salesman charlatan. The fact that neither penetrate my psyche is absolutely where I'm at.
Absolutely. And that's equanimity, right? Like that is that, whatever you want to call it.
It's the game because people want the positive reinforcement that, there's so many models on Instagram, right? Men and women. You're so beautiful. You look so great. You're so beautiful. You look so great. You're full of shit. You look fake. They're crushed because they take too much in that you look so great.
Yes, and I think that's the point that we're hitting on here, which I love, is that overemphasis on positive, it's what makes the negative so hard to take.
It's also an incredible place for me to add some clarity that I haven't done a good job on historically, which is something I'm thinking a lot more about. Raghav, it's fun to see you here because we had this call yesterday. I'm like, look, I'm at my worst when I'm excited in an interview and I'm drilling a headline because I love doing it. It's fun. It's showmanship. It's wrestling, promo videos. It's my natural state. I talk a lot about not giving a fuck about other people's opinions. It's also because I take the complete opposite approach, which is every negative piece of feedback that I get, I genuinely go into two places. A, I deploy sympathy and empathy for the person leaving the comment because inevitably, immediately on that action, I know that they're not in a good place. If you go to somebody else's social, consume it, and then spew hate, you're not in a good place.
No, absolutely.
You're unhappy.
Yeah.
Next, I start trying to see the insight to any truth in it. The second that you're high on your own supply, you're vulnerable.
Yes.
And so 100%. I don't give a fuck about anybody's opinion. Ironically, I value everybody's opinion. I just synthesize it and then decide to take the good from it.
Yes.
By deploying empathy and sympathy to the deliverer of I'm stunned by our lack of conversation in society right now on this part. There's a lot of judgment and hot takes and comments. We need to judge the person delivering the message.
Absolutely.
Like how is your mother's opinion of you have the same weight as Anonymous 54's comment on Instagram?
Yeah.
That is ludicrous.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the same way of how does a coworker's opinion, you have to factor that in different than your mother because your mother blindly thinks you're the best if you're lucky enough to have that mother, and so it's super fast. It's just pulling from opposite directions. And I think, I'm pulling so hard from opposite directions that my balance is coming in that. There is a yin and a yang to everything, and we should be the judge and jury of it. And back to your point, if it was cool for 2 minutes to chase it with a selfie, cool. And then if you're like, "F*** it, I'm an idiot, let me take this in," cool. And that's you and that's it. But everybody's taking everybody else's, I'm watching people like see one piece of content and be like, yeah, that's what I'm doing now. I'm gonna sell my phone and write letters. I'm like, and they do it to me in the other way, right? They're like, Gary's right, I'm gonna do this. No, I'm putting out my perspective, filter that through you, take the good that works for you from that, leave the shit that you don't like. Most people aren't as competitive as I am. What's that fucking hockey thing called again?
Sauce.
Dude, I'm still kind of in it. I wanna go back and play sauce again.
Yeah.
Not everybody's that, that's why I love this. I love competing. And business for me is competing. And I wasn't built enough to be in the league. And by the way, all those years where I was sad that I wasn't an athlete, now I'm the happiest that I'm an entrepreneur, not an athlete. I not only want to make failure an equal to success, I actually want to celebrate failure as, I've said this a lot in a lot of different ways. Do you want to hear something crazy, actually, to make this very meta? Charlie Hayes catches a ball in 1996. The Yankees win the World Series, and I have not watched a full Yankee game since, and I grew up a massive New York Yankees fan. The New York Rangers won the 94 Stanley Cup right across the street there, and I never watched another 90. I literally stopped watching my teams after they win a championship forever. I'm so about the failure and the process The reason I love the Jets so much is how disastrous it is. I'm in love with the Knicks now. This is real good now.
Yeah.
You know, and I think I think I overskew that way. Like if you really watch me as an entrepreneur, something nobody in the outside who's watching right now, only Mark Yudkin, my lawyer, my financial people, I do so many things to sabotage myself, or like I pick kindness over success, or did many other things because I love losing. I genuinely am not kidding. When back to growing up in Jersey and those kind of places, going to a pickup basketball game, picking teams and losing the first game was always my dream. Because I love the feeling of trying to win the second game. I enjoy the feeling of trying to win a second game of pickup basketball, or I liked tennis a lot, and I was good at it. And one of the reasons I was good at it was I had a ridiculous record of winning the second and third set in comparison to almost anybody else on my team or like the coach had seen. Because I actually believe what I'm about to say. I think I actually threw the first set subconsciously. Not, because I enjoy adversity. Nothing is more exciting than selling something you believe in.
Yeah.
The second you get paid $1 million under the table to even sell the glue, that's when you're f***ed. But if you're actually selling something you actually believe in, you'll win. My biggest problem with people is they sell something they don't believe in. It's the thing that they've stumbled into. It's the thing that they just think they'll make the most money on. That's the thing that makes them most vulnerable super long term. If you love it and you believe in it, there's a lot of things I could be selling that would make me a lot more money, Sure. I love when I do like I do things I want to be doing. Like I love showing people that have $20 how to like start living their life with more money. That's why I do trash talk. There's literally people that leave comments like, Gary Vee, this is not gonna help you buy the Jets. No shit. I understand that 8 hours of my time is not making $309 is not necessarily the mathematical equation to get to the Jets. But is it? Because if I help 40 million people live a much better life, if I'm $200 million short, when the time comes, can I crowdfund the last part? I think so. Evan, thank you so much for having a couple seconds and being able to tell the Believe Nation a little bit about Empathy Wines. It means a lot to me that you would take this valuable real estate and time on your channel to give me some love. It means a lot. It's just good karma points, and so you're awesome. Thank you. Believe Nation, if you're into wine at all, go to empathywines.com. My whole career's work was poured into producing a wine that rivaled $40 to $60 wine for $20 a bottle. I'm just super excited about this subscription-based wine business. You can order 3, 6, or 12 bottles in subscription form, rosé, white, red. If you search on Instagram or Twitter, you will be blown away. People are literally like, I don't even like Gary Vee, but the wine's good. Super proud of the effort. Thanks, Evan, for the time. Wishing you guys all happy and healthy.
Because you made it this far in a video, I want to celebrate you. Most people start and don't finish. Most people never actually follow through. Most people say they want something, but they don't ever do the work to actually get it. But you are different. You are special. Believe Nation, you made it here all the way to the end, and I love you. So as a special celebration, if you put a hashtag Believe down in the comments below on this video, I will showcase you and celebrate you somewhere on the screen in a future video because you are awesome.
For 10 more amazing rules from Garen Jones, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
I know exactly what I'm gonna talk to you about because I've been hearing you complain about how you get rejected all the time, how you didn't get that job, how you didn't get that audition, how the girl turned you down, that guy turned you down.